Eric Adams is basically passing the migrant blame now that he's under fire. Take a look at what's happening over in New York.
Mayor Eric Adams once again asking the federal government for help with the ongoing migrant crisis.
Yeah, this comes as 4 more buses arrived at Port Authority early this morning. Fox 5's Lizette Nunez is live outside the Port Authority bus terminal with more on what we know about the ongoing situation. Lizette, what's happening?
Dan, Tashani, good morning to you. And no sign of things slowing down here. Mayor Adams says on average, the city is receiving anywhere from 2,500 to 4,000 migrants per week.
I bet y'all didn't know that because we've been so focused on Chicago and Denver that we haven't really been paying attention to what's been going on in New York. They didn't say, yo, we no longer a sanctuary city. They said that we already started cutting the budget, what, $12 billion, $16 billion this year? From police services, from sanitation, from the schools. And they're still getting 4,000 migrants a week. A week. They're still arriving. Listen, they didn't even ban them from being able to come over in buses over in New York. New York is still getting flooded with the original way in which Greg Abbott and all of these other governors are deciding to send these migrants up here. Chicago, they just getting around. They beating the hell out of Chicago on purpose. But New York, they just gave up. New York just gave up. Y'all had Alicia Keys and Jay-Z create a new anthem for y'all, and the migrants are singing it on their way over here.
I am not seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. From the federal government. And I think we can't treat this as a policy. We have to treat it as an urgency.
Mayor Adams calling out the federal government once again as the city has received more than 161,000 migrants since last spring. Yesterday, 3 buses arrived at Port Authority bus terminal after migrants landed at JFK Airport from Texas. And early this morning, 4 more Texas chartered buses arrived at Port Authority.
Governor Abbott has made it clear he wants to destabilize cities and sending thousands of migrants and asylum seekers here to the city.
The mayor echoing his frustration after making several trips to D.C. to address the crisis, but not much help coming from the federal government.
Who is that giant over there? That dude is like 7 feet tall. Who is that giant that's standing next to Eric Adams? Good God.
10 trips to Washington, D.C., asking and pleading for help. We did not get that help.
The city says they've made some improvements with helping asylum seekers file for work authorization. New York City leaders say more than 2,200 migrants have been granted work authorization cards. The Legal Aid Society believes the state can still...
Wait. They got granted what?
Authorization. New York City leaders say more than 2,200 migrants have been granted work authorization cards.
So now they're able to get whatever job that they can or whatever job that you don't want or replace you at a cheaper rate. People are now starting to be able to hire migrants at a much cheaper rate here in the United States of America to replace you for jobs that you said that you didn't want. Or maybe they're working under the table. Either way, a lot of these migrants are not just sitting still with their hands up under their butt and just sitting in a chair and waiting for somebody. They are not only getting the monies from the federal government, but they also getting monies straight up under the table, and they can work now.
The Legal Aid Society believes the state can still do more.
The governor has set up a portal for people that lists jobs that are available. But it seems like the state should be doing more to connect people to those jobs, to help them get to the communities where those jobs are.
And happening later today, top U.S. delegation will meet with Mexico's president to try to urge him to do more as far as stemming the flow of migrants arriving here to the U.S.
So this is what Eric Adams decided that he wanted to say in response now that basically he's in a crisis. Remember when he was nice and comfortable and he was saying, yo, we're just an asylum seeking place, and he was out there and he was Hercules, and he was having a conversation and he was talking about how he was welcoming the migrants into the city and this is the fabric of who New York is. Well, his polling numbers has continued to plummet to some of the lowest numbers in the history of an incumbent mayor in New York City. And now he's running around like a chicken with his head cut off while he's still under FBI investigation. And this is what he has to say.
Well, it was back to business as usual today with Mayor Adams holding his weekly media briefings. He gave some updates on the migrant crisis, including how many of them have received work authorizations. Fox 5's Morgan Mackay joins us now in studio with what Adams talked about. Morgan.
Yes, Natasha, it was Mayor Eric Adams' last off-topic briefing of the year. And to wrap up 2023, he focused heavily on the impact the migrant crisis is having on the city's budget and his poll numbers.
I've never seen New Yorkers as angry as they are now about a particular topic.
No, they're angry at you. They're angry at you. It's not a particular topic, and this is the gaslighting. Because the first thing that you're going to get is a mayor not being able to admit that they were wrong. And he's saying that it's about a particular topic. No, it's not about the migrant crisis per se. It's about how you managed the city and you fumbled it. You effed it up for everybody. And now one small issue turned into a gigantic problem, and it's starting to filter out into everything that y'all know as far as the budget being messed up and your schools is being overrun and the budgets is messed up with the schools and the police officers can't protect you and they running around and they getting laid off and they can't hold on to it, and sanitation as though y'all didn't already have a rat problem. And so it now becomes a snowball effect for the things that's wrong with New York. And it's not just one particular issue
That they have all rallied behind.
Mayor Eric Adams' approval ratings this year have been dismal. And in a recent Quinnipiac poll, he saw approval numbers lower than any mayor in history. But Adams
I'm going to read those super chats shortly.
pushed back on Tuesday, blaming the migrant crisis for why New Yorkers are frustrated with him.
Many people thought that Eric was in charge of the buses coming in, that Eric was in charge of deportation.
Whenever a politician start talking about themselves in third person when they under duress, they in trouble. When they start talking about themselves like they not themselves and they referring to somebody else, but they really talking about themselves in third person, listen, if you ever find me in a scandal and I don't say, you know what, man, they wrong, that's a rumor, that's fake. Or I don't say, you know what, I did mess up, my bad. But instead, I say, well, Anton wasn't even focused at that particular time. Anton was in a whole nother space. What y'all talking about? When I start, if I'm in trouble and I'm not addressing it directly by saying, no, that's false, or yeah, that's right, but it's my bad, it's my mistake, thanks for calling me out on that, and I start referring to myself like I'm not myself, and I start talking about somebody else like it's me and it's not me, and you start saying, well, I don't know what y'all trying to hold Anton accountable for. When people are in trouble and they start talking in third person, you know it's a problem, fam.
They don't know that our hands are tied.
More than 4,000 migrants arrived in New York City just last week.
Somebody said, Anton, you talk about yourself in third person all day long. No, I talk about myself in third person as though I'm confident in what's going on. I don't be in trouble talking about myself in third person. When I say, oh, Anton is the man, that's different than saying, well, Anton wasn't even really there. Like, I don't know who I am. It's a difference. When you in trouble and talking in third person, it's much different than talking about confidence in third person. You know what I'm saying?
And more than 161,000 migrants have been cared for by the city since last spring. However, the city has made improvements in helping migrants file asylum and work authorization papers and say that to date, more than 2,200 migrants have received back their work authorization cards. Josh Goldfein from the Legal Aid Society says now all that is needed is more effort from the state to connect those migrants to jobs.
The governor has set up.
And you listen. Nobody has heard from this mannequin-looking governor over there in New York City. 0 people have heard from this mannequin-looking governor, New York governor, Denver governor, and New York. You know what she did do, though? You know what she was making sure that she was doing? To make sure that she got in place in New York, the Adult Survivors Act, so that y'all can get y'all lawsuits off and they can make a whole lot of money inside of the courts. She made sure she went after Diddy and Trump with that Adult Survivors Act. And now you got Axl Rose and Eric Adams is one of the people that's being accused in the Adult Survivors Act. This mannequin looking governor made sure that she got that Adult Survivors Act solved for her, but they are hiding under their chairs and under their desks when it comes to this migrant crisis. For real, for real.
A portal for people that lists jobs that are available. But it seems like the state should be doing more to connect people to those jobs, to help them get to the communities where those jobs are.
And now, in less than 2 weeks, migrant families with children living at the Floyd Bennett Field and other shelters will be receiving 60-day notices, which means they will have to find either a new place to live or reapply for a shelter bed. If they need to reapply, they may have to wait at the reticketing site in the East Village, where many migrants have been waiting for days to get a bed. Goldfein says that this shuffle will be particularly hard on kids, since this could disrupt their education.
But anybody who has children, is not just going to be able to move them on a moment's notice. And also, many of these kids are enrolled in school, so there's a lot of uncertainty both for the children and their families, but also for the schools.
So now Eric Adams is basically deflecting, and he's blaming his low approval numbers on the federal government. But again, the one thing that I've seen that I haven't seen yet, whether you got a small town like Thornton Township and Dolton, where Tiffany Henyard is over there running it like the mob and trying to prevent any person that run against her from being able to make the same money that she was making, or if you have Chicago, New York, or Denver, or LA and Atlanta for that matter, I have not seen one politician say that I'm wrong or take responsibility for the things that they put their constituents in.